Okay, folks, Sailing Prepper here. Let's talk about voter fraud and the stuff that's going down on the streets today. First of all, we haven't had a legitimate election in years, at least 20, if not more. Okay? We had to go to the Supreme Court when Bush became president, all right? When he was going against Al Gore. So if you think for an example that your vote counts, you're joking. You were born yesterday. Okay? With all this stuff going on, look at both sides. And I'm not going to say if it's Democrats or Republicans committing voter fraud and doing all that stuff, because honestly, I could say it's both sides. Maybe Trump trying to, Democrats, actually, I'm pretty sure both sides have committed it. Both sides are just as complicit in it, just like they are against or with having the war that we've been doing for the last 20 years and everything else. Anyways, you just look at Bernie Sanders in the 2016 election. He should have been. They went to court and the Democrats said, well, we can legally just pick whoever we want. It doesn't matter what the people voted for. They did that then. They did that again this year with Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard and a few others that would have easily been picked over Joe Biden. You know what? If you really wanted to win this without all this fighting and all these people going at each other's throats and all this stuff, maybe you should have picked one of them, because I guarantee you they would have won in a landslide against Donald Trump. If Jesse Ventura ran, landslide against Donald Trump. Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, any of them. They have better plans, better things, and they could hold their own with Trump. They were better candidates for this. And they went with Biden. Why? Because, honestly, the Democrats would rather have Donald Trump win, go through all this, put up a fight, try to play all these games. The DNC does that versus putting in an actual progressive person like Bernie Sanders or Tulsi Gabbard or somebody else in for the presidency. You know, Bernie voters would have gladly done it. There are a lot of people who would have voted for Jesse Ventura if he ran. Okay? I know a lot of them. I wish he did. Oh, even if he ran on an independent platform or the People's Party or the Green Party, I would have loved to have seen that. That would have been wonderful. He might have actually won. This would have been the year for him to actually win. I would have loved that. And I like Jesse, so if you guys don't, I don't care. He speaks the truth, regardless of whatever else you say about him. Now, that would have been real change. They didn't want change. They want to keep the regular establishment going. So all you Black Lives protesters out there, I'm going to tell you, if you wanted real change, you should have voted in for everybody with an independent party in your lower rungs where it counts, like your mayors, your senators, governors. Make them independents. Then you'll have change next year. Where your vote actually does count. Okay? Now, when it comes to things like people fighting out in the streets, seriously, you're fighting out in the streets over who's red, who's blue. It's the same two guys. They're just, one's blue, one's red. I mean, you got one, racist piece of crap against another racist piece of crap. There's no difference. Except for one's for war and one will neglect your health and tries to help the 1% richer. Okay? And if you want any proof, just look at the stimulus checks. They literally fought with the stimulus checks with the Republicans on both ends, didn't give in anywhere. I'm sorry, I would have given in something just to get the people a direct stimulus check and just said, let's pass this. They couldn't. And that was both Democrats and Republicans on both sides. And the Democrats weren't going to pass anything anyways because they feared of helping out Donald Trump. They didn't care about you and your livelihood, and it's not the responsibility of the average American at this point, because you know what? A lot of these people are out of work, not because of that, but because of the government. And yes, I do blame Donald Trump in this, just for the simple fact that he knew how bad it was going to be and he lied. Okay? So yeah, they're two peas in the same pod, just one goes a little left and one goes a little right. Okay? And left's not necessarily a good thing. Which slice of crap do you want? So, is there voter fraud? Yeah. Is there bull on both sides? Yeah. Are either sides any good? No. And for Black Lives people that want to protest out there, I have a question. Do you care about Black lives just in America, or do you care about Black lives? Because you know what? If you really want to make a difference in this, because it is coming home to roost, vote, argue, go out and protest Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon. Again, I push this forward. Go against the military complex. And don't go, well, I'm not supporting the troops with that. Because you know what? Those aren't our troops. And they don't really help out our troops that much. Okay? Or if they were only supplying weapons to us, fine. But they supply weapons to everybody around the world. And they get bailed out. That's why Boeing got bailed out so much. Not because it's an airplane and they're worried about, employing a few people here. The people they're worried about employing are the ones that put the bombs and the bullets and all that together, which destroy our world. And if you're for killing and murdering innocent people around the world, and that's exactly what it is. I don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican, and they're both doing it. Sanctions, all this stuff is nothing but to put down other countries, to control other countries, and do that. You want an example of our financial system controlling people? Okay. Americans will tell you this. A lot of them will. You don't like America, why are you here? Right? You hear that all the time. Well, ha 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 ha. What about an accidental citizen? You go, what do you mean, accidental citizen? Well, let me explain to you what an accidental citizen is. You can become an accidental citizen by numerous means. Sometime by accidentally being born in the United States, then being brought over and only being in the U.S. once. If you come to the United States and you're here over a certain number of days, over the course of years, you are assumed an accidental citizen. If you are over in, like, say, France, okay, because a lot of them are in France, and your mom or your dad is over there, and they found someone they love over there, and they decide they're going to stay over there because they love the country, and they become citizens over there, but they haven't given up their citizenship, so they have dual citizenship now, and they marry someone, and they have a baby. That child is considered an accidental citizen. Now, what does an accidental citizen get? Well, two things. One, they kind of get a little bump up if they want to become American citizens. But it's a little bump up, and it's really hard to do that. They're considered American citizens only in the aspect that they have to pay taxes to the United States. They may have never stepped foot in the United States. It's a French citizen over there. His daddy was an American with dual citizenship. He ends up never have been in the United States. And then he hits 18, and all of a sudden, he finds out he has to pay taxes to the U.S. Why? He's never been here, never worked here, never any of those things. And even if he doesn't have to technically pay taxes because of the way the laws are, he still has to file for taxes. And because of all the years that he might have worked before he finds this out, he then finds out that they're freezing his accounts because we control the World Bank. And when we control the World Bank, we start freezing accounts and we force them into stuff like that. We're forcing people into poverty in other countries by doing that. That's what it means to be an accidental citizen. You should feel sorry for those people. 10 minutes long so far. I'm just stating out that, instead of fighting each other, go at the establishment. Democrat and Republican, go to the establishment. Agree. If you say you're a Donald Trump supporter, and I've heard this from a lot of Donald Trump supporters, well, he hasn't started any new wars. True. Well, if you're actually for that, think about it. 90% of the people we bomb over there are black people. So if you're a black person and you're for not killing innocent black people or brown people, and you're a Donald Trump supporter and you don't want more wars, you don't want our troops over there, and you don't want us to bomb people in countries like that, you guys are voting for the same thing. You want the same thing. Go to them, protest against Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Raytheon, and tell them, stop the endless wars. And that's something you have in common. And I'm sorry, 90% of you have that in common. Use that commonality. Go on to the White House steps and say, we don't care who's president at this particular point because you're both the same idiots. Stop the endless wars. Stop Lockheed Martin. Stop Boeing. Stop Raytheon. This would be a great thing. That's what you got to do. These politicians are so stupid in most countries. The way we have things. You say border control. You want border control? You want Mexicans and Guatemalans and all these people to stop coming over? I got news for you. Okay? And this goes for Trump supporters. I'm neither. But you want all that to stop? It's really simple. Stop the sanctions. Stop terrorizing the people down there. Stop sending the CIA down there to assassinate people that might make some good changes down there because they really don't care if those people are taken care of. If their country was better, they wouldn't. But we keep stepping on them by literally assassinating their representatives, helping set coups. Like we've tried at Venezuela and a bunch of other countries. Venezuela is just the most recent. Okay, the people down in, I forgot which one of them, a country it is. I can look it up later if people really want to know. There's a country down there. And they threw sanctions down there and sanctions down there and sanctions down there. And then they threw a coup on a fake thing. And the New York Times was solicited in this. And they literally said, oh, it was voter fraud. And they got certain members of the military to go up and literally chase this guy out of the country out of fear of his own life. And now, because the people, after 2 years or 4 years or whatever it was of dealing with this, went out and voted in that country just recently, within the last couple of months, to remove that establishment that was forced into office. Overwhelming votes. You won't hear about that on American news. You have to look at it in international news. You're going to have to go to European news, NHK, check something out down there in Mexico or one of their newses, Venezuela's news, and actually listen to it. And if you can't understand it, some of them actually have, writing if you don't speak the language, and some you can get dubbed, and if not, there's places like RT that do it in English. Okay, I don't care if you don't like Russia. I do. I don't see a reason for us to have war with Russia. Okay, I do not believe in McCarthyism. And what you have is basically whiners bitching and whining and using McCarthyism. Then you have people like Trump who's being evil and murdering people like General Soleimani and not caring about Khashoggi, even though he was one of the elites and nothing happened and he was a reporter. Or how about, Julian Assange, who's being tortured over there for being a reporter. Apparently, the Democrats and Republicans do not want freedom of speech because they don't want you to have a different opinion out there. And if that's your goal and that's what America's coming, I can't wait till I get out of here. Sailing Prepper, signing out. Enjoy your election, folks.